Hi, my name is Will Wittenberg, and I'm going to be discussing the conflict and friction between Cricket Australia and the Australia Cricketing Association, and how this problem can be solved to help similar disagreements in the future. This particular dispute stems from an event that happened on March 24th of 2018 during a cricket match in South Africa between South Africa and Australia. This incident pertained three Australian cricket players. So during this match, Australia's bowler, his name was Cameron Barcraft, and he was caught on television tampering with the cricket ball numerous times. He was seen wiping the ball on something in his pocket. After the game, it was discovered that he had a piece of sandpaper in his pocket that would he'd wipe the ball on, and that would help his grip on the ball, which would give him an advantage in the competition. So after the game, Barcraft and the team captain, which his name was Steve Smith, they attended a press conference. At this press conference, Barcraft admitted to tampering with the cricket ball. Um, Steve Smith, the captain of the team, he admitted to knowing the plan the whole time about tampering with the ball, which didn't exactly go well for him. So shortly after the investigation concluded, it was found there was actually three players involved in the tampering scandal. The last one, his name was David Warner, and he was found to be the one who kind of engineered this whole scandal. He was actually the one who suggested and showed Cameron Barcraft how to execute the ball tampering to give his team an advantage. This investigation, at its end, led to some extremely large and possibly maybe a little bit too unreasonable punishments for David Warner, Steve Smith, and Cameron Barcraft from Team Australia. So these are the punishments for the players. Cameron Barcraft, he was actually charged with tampering with the cricket ball, as he was the one who actually was wiping it on his pocket and trying to conceal evidence. So the result of this from him was he had a 12-month ban from international and domestic cricket, and he was not able to hold a leadership position for, I believe, a year. Steve Smith, who was the team captain, he was the one who was aware of the situation happening. He was punished for 12 months as well, internationally and domestically, and he was not allowed to have the captain status for a year after his ban. Lastly, the third player, David Warner, the players who suggested the plan to Barcraft, he was issued a 12-month international domestic ban as well, and he is also never allowed to hold another leadership position. So he kind of got the worst end of it, I guess, because he was the one who suggested the plan in the first place. So while Australian Cricketing Association, they knew that their players were in the wrong, but they did feel like the punishments were too severe given the crime. So at this point, this is where the conflict between the two really begins. The Australian Cricketing Association challenged the fairness and severity of the sanctions, given that the sanctions were disproportionate and unprecedented compared to events in the past. They believed that they were just a little bit too harsh compared to like what the same incident had happened previously and the punishment that was given for that incident. The Australian Cricket Association felt as if the players were treated unfairly, and they ultimately felt like they were controlled and confined by Cricket Australia. So the ACA felt there were many instances where ball tampering had occurred previously, and the players charged were not penalized near as heavily as their three Australian players. A brief example is that a player named Mike Afron from 1994 was found guilty of ball tampering but was only fined €2,000 and no suspension. So the point of this is that ball tampering suspensions have never been dealt with in this strict or just kind of like impulsive manner. And I believe that this is kind of what caused the conflict between the two. I think that this dispute is probably a relationship conflict due to both organizations having seemingly distinct friction and disagreements on the handling of the dispute and punishment. So with that being said, it's also understandable why the Australian Cricket Association imposed these extremely strict punishments. I believe that they felt that they couldn't really take the situation lightly, that they needed to set an example out of somebody to get people to pay attention and listen so cheating doesn't continue to happen. But at the same time, they also probably should have had a distinct rules, punishments for violations that is kind of a known thing, that if you are to tamper with the ball, then you're going to get this kind of fine or that kind of fine for, I don't know, any kind of rule you break. There should be a distinct one so everyone feels they're being treated fairly. So despite all their differences, they have some important mutual interests between the two. First of all, the two organizations, they want to get along, and they understand that they need to get along so that competitors and fans can enjoy the game while allowing the game to progress. With the game progressing, that would open up cricket publicity and really help expand it internationally, which is also a similar interest between the two. Um, Finally, they don't want the game to regress, and they don't want to be the ones that were known for, I don't know, the game's taking a step back due to people being stubborn and butting heads. Um, but in order to solve this dispute, they both need to work together. When it comes down to it, they probably are going to be willing, they need to be willing to compromise with one another in order to set clear expectations and punishments for the players. I think that they also really need to stress a better moral expectation of the players, so that cheating does not occur in the first place. Of course, cheating is always going to happen. There's always going to be people trying to get a leg up, but I think it'd be good for them to set a better moral expectation so that people are less inclined to do something like this. So at the negotiation, I think the tactic that they should probably use would be an integrative negotiation. And that's due to the fact that this type of negotiation normally solves many types of issues which they would need to solve, and that it also normally results in a win-win situation for both of the parties. To end, lastly, in order to progress the situation, I believe that Cricket Australia needs to probably reevaluate and reduce the imposed sanctions that were put on the three Australian players. In my opinion, even though that the players were in the wrong and did cheat, it can be said that it's not fair to give them a visibly increased fine or suspension compared to similar incidents literally regarding the same issue of ball tampering that were dealt with in just less severe ways. So I believe that's exactly how the situation could be resolved, and that's going to be it. Thank you.